Can you please take your seats? Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance and Investment, Honorable Fidel Grant, Minister for the Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, Honorable Gregory Riviere, Minister of State in the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, other members of Cabinet, permanent secretaries, Director of the Division of Agriculture, staff of the Ministry, and other public officials, invited guests, those who are listening and viewing via the various media houses and platforms, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Value Chain Stakeholder Conversation, a timely conversation among policymakers, value chain stakeholders, to include the restaurants, hotels, supermarkets, farmers, fisher folks, agro-processors, and of course, service providers. Today's meeting is very important to identify and discuss existing gaps between demand and supply, to identify and strengthen linkages among various stakeholders along the value chain, to develop an action plan and identify priority actions of value chain, and to create a working group to champion the priority actions that we have agreed upon. I now invite Pastor Jody to lead us in prayer. Can we please stand?
Pleasant good afternoon, everyone. Father, we thank you for this moment in time. Thank you for this time that you have ordained for this nation, Dominica. And we thank you that it is a moment when you have promised to bless us. Your word declares to us that we will be the fruit basket of the region, the food basket of the region. And we thank you that you have a great promise for us. And in this moment, we will seize it, oh God. I pray strength and power, oh God, and life to every initiative of the Government of Dominica. I pray also, Father, for the stakeholders and all those involved, that they receive life and power and strength to fulfill the purpose for which you have called us. Father, may we not lose sight of what you have ordained in this season. And I pray that even as we move with energy, move with a spirit to work, a mind to work, my God, that you'll prosper every plan in the name of Jesus. Father, prosper every work, the work of our hands, my God, in the name of Jesus. Prosper every idea in the name of Jesus. We come against every force that would want to seek to bring weariness and tiredness upon the people and upon this sector. We declare it shall not prevail, but we declare fresh energy. We declare fresh fire, fresh power to fulfill what you have ordained for us in the name of Jesus. I thank you that the wisdom that you cause to flow in this room, my God, today will be second to none. I thank you, Father, that the plans that you cause to come out of this room will be second to none in the name of Jesus. And I thank you that we achieve the purpose for which we are here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor Judy. I now invite the Honorable Minister for Blue and Green Economy, Honorable Fidel Grant, to do the official welcome.
Good afternoon to everybody. Let me first recognize the presence of the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, and Mrs. Skerritt, Parrot for the Roseau Central constituency, the Honorable Gregory Riviere, Minister of State in the Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, other members of Cabinet, permanent secretaries, the Director of Agriculture, invited guests, to those listening via the media, good afternoon. Good afternoon, and a warm welcome to all present here this afternoon. Thank you for responding to our invitation to discuss how stakeholders can partner to strengthen value chain opportunities. Just about 5 years ago, we experienced the worst natural disaster ever to be recorded in our part of the world. Our agriculture sector was decimated. We were forced to import eggs, fresh fruit and vegetables, and other crops. Our livestock farmers lost their animals. Our fisher folk lost their vessel. Just a mere 2 years later, we experienced a shock of a pandemic, and now the Russia-Ukraine war. In a mere 5 years, our tiny island has experienced challenges that could have broken us. But as a people, as a government, we remained focused. We have stood resilient because this government has a track record of planning ahead. The strong fiscal and social policies of this government has kept Dominica on the upward trajectory. Our presence here today is timely. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet and I understand that even in a time of crisis, there is opportunity. And we want to prepare our farmers, youth, hucksters, exporters, vendors, agro-processors, and all stakeholders of the agriculture industry for the opportunities that are present and yet to come. Fortunately for us, over the past 5 years, we have been very visionary, utilizing the citizenship by investment by heavily investing in our hotel sector and tourism product. The international airport will also open vast opportunities for both local consumption and exports. In the past 5 years, an amount of over $170 million has been invested in the sector. This includes direct support to our farmers, fisherfolk, and other agriculture infrastructure across the country. These funds, which became available through the negotiation of the Honorable Prime Minister. The agriculture sector continues to show signs of positive growth from 2019. In 2020, the sector expanded by 2.1%. In 2021, agriculture value added stood at $122.5 million, or 13.3% of GDP. The fisheries sector value added stood at $5.59 million. To date, over 4,000 farmers have received vouchers for fertilizer, agrochemicals, tools, and equipment. Last fiscal year, we distributed over 4,000 citrus plants, over 25,000 cocoa plants, over 7,000 avocado plants, and over 500,000 vegetable seedlings. The evidence of these investments are showing because production is at an all-time high, and we can see this through our local markets and supermarkets. We have been providing steady support to our poultry farmers. In the last financial year, over 45 poultry farmers have received a total of 18,000 birds and over 2,400 bags of feed. 37 pork farmers received a total of 1,500 bags of feed. To date, we record over 250 pounds of local meat being sold by our very own national abattoir. We had one local company, Crispies, who came on board and is a constant purchaser of our local chicken breast. As of August 1st, 2021, the VAT on hatchling eggs was removed. By this measure, instead of importing day-old chicks, our farmers can now import fertilized eggs, which will be hatched here in Dominica. In the recent months, we have seen the investments in the hatchery by several private sector owners. Our aquaculture is growing. In the last fiscal year, we rehabilitated the Belfast Prawn Farm Hatchery. Following the rehabilitation, in the recent months, the hatchery has produced over 100,000 post-larvae, which was distributed to over 5 farmers across the island. Ladies and gentlemen, I have listed all of the above to demonstrate that as a government, we have kept agriculture as a sector, as a key sector, and it's this government's priority. And so today, we are confident of the investments we have made, and we are confident that we have created an environment that is ripe for investment. We are here to plan the next steps as we forge ahead. Today, I want to urge our farmers that you must begin to consider technological innovations and the introduction of high-tech solutions as smart greenhouses, drone and tablet technology for imagery, capturing and monitoring of data, robotics product application, as well as various water and soil management, electronic sensors, and harvesting of machinery that will allow our farmers to harvest quicker and more efficiently for better results. I urge all stakeholders that we must work together to commercialize the sector. With increasing the number of farms, more youth and private sector investments should be involved in this process, as this is necessary to improve the presence both on the regional and international markets. Friends, all these elements, when converged, will no doubt increase productivity, output, and position Dominica's agriculture to be the most successful and to contribute even more to the national economy. The Ministry of Agriculture, our main aim is to ensure, one, the resilience and sustainable agriculture through building resilience and agrobiodiversity and agriculture production systems to natural hazards and climate change impact for productive and sustainable agriculture. Two, innovation and competition, facilitating development and enhancement of the agribusiness and value chain system through technology, knowledge, market, and financial innovation. Three, food availability, affordability, safety, and nutrition, considering supplying the national food system with increasing the portion of safe and nutritious food locally produced, and to meet the dietary food preferences of the population assure basic food needs in the aftermath of crisis. As I end, I must say that I am pleased that as many of you have responded to our invitation. Your voice is equally and absolutely important, and I assure you that we will return to continue the dialogue. We are responsible for the growth of Dominica and Dominicans. I urge us to eat local and buy local. In closing, I urge all of you to actively participate in the conversation, and I wish all of us a successful and productive discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Grant, for reminding us that the positive signs we are witnessing in the agriculture sector is as a result of the success of government's strategic interventions in response to Hurricane Maria, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and in ensuring that we are well positioned to ensure the success of food security for generations to come. Again, as he reiterated, there is the opportunity to increase the supply of agricultural produce as a result of the high-end supermarkets and hotels that have been established recently. And so it is in this light that I now invite the Honorable Prime Minister to set the context for today's conversation for the further advancement of the agriculture sector. Sorry about that.
Well, you know, I was conflicted in deciding where do I sit. You know, I wanted to sit with the farmers. Myself a grower of food, you know. But thank you for being here. I want to recognize our Senior Minister, Honorable Ostry, Honorable Fidel Grant, our Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Rivera, our Minister of State with responsibility for fisheries, my other cabinet colleagues who are here, the PS of Agriculture, Dr. Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, friends all, good afternoon and good evening. Thank you for accepting the invitation to participate in this consultation. This meeting of minds provides us with an opportunity to present ideas and recommendations on how we can build stronger value chain relationships, promote food security, and achieve sustainable growth in the agricultural sector. To reduce obstacles in the value chain to facilitate access to buyers and markets, there is a need for frank conversation among all stakeholders to address the current state of production and supply in Dominica. Based on my recurring conversations with farmers, consumers, purchasers of agricultural produce, I believe there is a wide disconnect in our general approach to production and sale. As a government, we have therefore decided on targeted interventions in the sector to assist enterprises to source, produce, and connect to markets. These interventions are intended to enhance the business and entrepreneurship capacity of our farmers, fishers, and small agro processors. Our objective is to bring together stakeholders at each stage of the value chain to enhance the understanding of market requirements and strengthen access to the products which make it onto our supermarket shelves, to restaurants and hotels, and are packaged for export. This last point is of particular importance. Producers, including many of you here this evening, have told us of the challenges you are facing in accessing stable and reliable markets for your agricultural produce. We also hear from purchasers at the restaurants and hotels and at our large supermarkets who cite issues related to consistency. Quality products, they tell us, are not usually available in regular supply. This is not only a hiccup for local purchasers. There are instances when we are unable to supply the right quantities of ground provisions or plantains to buyers in the region. This indicates that markets are available, but we must be more coordinated in our efforts to match our production to the local and regional demands. The question we must answer at the consultation, therefore, is how can we address sourcing issues for local produce, and more broadly, how do we reduce Dominica's food import bill for the goods which are resold at incredibly high prices? At the end of today's consultation, our aim is to, 1, identify and discuss existing gaps between demand and supply. 2, identify and strengthen linkages among various stakeholders along the value chain. 3, develop an action plan that clearly identifies priority actions of value chain stakeholders. And 4, create a working group to champion the priority actions agreed upon. If we're able to meet the objectives of this meeting, I am confident we will soon see the creation of more employment opportunities, higher incomes, and the advancement of sustainable livelihoods. Our objective is to link more of your enterprises to market opportunities and create the enabling environment to improve sector performance. Currently, agriculture in Dominica contributes approximately $230 million to the economy. That is based on figures from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Though I have maintained consistently for many years that I believe agriculture contributes way more than what is reported to the GDP of our country. This government's plan is to keep growing the sector to a level where it can contribute $700 million to the economy by 2030. And I think that is a figure we can achieve. And we can achieve it by a coordinated approach, all stakeholders working in unison and focusing on that. So let us take it from the 230, 300 million now to 700 million by 2030. And the question is, how do we plan to achieve this goal? We will increase our productive capacity and efficiency by incentivizing more women and young people to get involved in agriculture as full-time profession. There is money to be made from the sector. If the approach is businesslike, returns on the sale of agricultural produce can range in the millions on a monthly basis. There is also the constant need for innovation in agriculture. Farmers must keep adapting to extreme climate and weather patterns and find new ways to increase their yields from the land. Government will help our farmers improve efficiency through the application of technology to include farm automation and digitalization and other more familiar methods such as hydroponics, crop rotation, and greenhouse technologies. The digitalization of our local farms is not a far-fetched concept. We're already seeing this in action with a local venture launched by 2 young Dominicans who were recently engaged by DEXA. And government is also open to supporting more of these initiatives to fast-track the adoption of appropriate technologies to meet market requirements and boost productivity. Government will continue its support of farmers through the provision of financial support, equipment and supplies, and the construction of farm access roads. As we speak, contracts totaling in excess of $22 million have been contracted to improve farm access roads in many communities across Dominica. We will take action to further penetrate the regional market and increase the sale of Dominican products to our sister islands. We are doing well with the sale of ground provisions, such as dasheen and sweet potatoes and yams, as well as plantain. But there is potential for a vast increase in the sale of Dominican produce abroad. In the mold of the Discover Dominica Authority, which is the marketing agency for tourism, government will establish an agri-marketing arm with the Ministry of Trade and Enterprise Development to seek additional markets and promote the sale of Dominican produce in the region and further afield. The agency will take a focused approach to corner the market and ensure a steady flow of agricultural produce for sale abroad. And as you recognize in my budget address of this year, I signaled the establishment of this entity, and the intention there is to create the Agricultural Development Authority, which will have as its mandate the linking of production to market, to research and development. My view is that this agency will coordinate all aspects of production and marketing, and also oversee technology introduction and adaptation, plant propagation, and financing to support the commercialization of agricultural production and agribusiness. The agency will comprise of both public and private sector interests. And I can say to you, I am convinced, and I am sure you agree with me, now is the right time to bring this organization into effect. The construction of an international airport will allow us to expand our international market reach. In order to satisfy the demand which will be created by increased air access, we must prepare now. We can't wait for the airport to be built and start preparing. Here again, we'll incentivize farmers, fishers, and livestock farmers to increase production, to take advantage of opportunities in cruise tourism, expansion in the hotel sector, and enhance air access on the island. Government will encourage diversification into non-traditional, high-value fruits and vegetables, such as cantaloupes, strawberry, blueberry, bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, and many others. I see no reason why we should be importing cantaloupes or watermelons into our country. Absolutely no reason. And we can grow strawberries here and mulberries here and reduce our food import bill in Dominica and create wealth for our citizens. There is no reason why we should be importing bell peppers, the red and yellow. We have the best quality bell peppers anywhere in the world, and we should have them here, sold by our people. And so, as I announced on Monday, this new initiative to target professionals in particular in agriculture and young people, and of course middle-aged people, in related fields who can bring some level of expertise to the cultivation, marketing, and sale of these crops. Government will provide a quantity of land, greenhouses, planting material, an irrigation system, and labor for 6 months. My vision is that participants will manage this venture through a cooperative or company in an organized way, which guarantees maximum return on investment, youth employment, and food and nutritional security. For our part, in addition to all the facilities provided for startup, we will assist you to access buyers and new markets. This is my commitment to you. And as we are doing with our discussion on the value chain today, my office will organize a similar conversation in the coming weeks with those of you who are interested. And so you can expect us to step up our marketing campaign, not only to find sale for your produce, but also to remove the stigma that agriculture is for poor country rural folks. Those of us who own and operate farms know this is far from the truth. Our citizens must see agriculture as a means to earn substantial income, if it is approached with diligence and the willingness to work hard. And so I am here today mainly to listen to you on your suggestions. Those of us who produce, what challenges do we have in selling? And those of us who are purchasing, what challenges do we have in purchasing? And come out of there, what can we do to overcome those challenges which those of us who are producing have? And what can we do to overcome the challenges that those of us who purchase are having in sourcing the agricultural produce that we have? And get out of here with an action plan as to how we can deal with those issues. And also within the government system, while we have WTO and other trade obligations, I believe that we have to review our consumption practices. Because this is a democracy. At the end of the day, supermarkets will sell what you buy. And if we go to our supermarkets, if we go to our local restaurants, and we demand local stuff, then they will give to us that which we buy. And so we ourselves as citizens and as a government, we need to adapt and to change our consumption practices. So when we go to the supermarkets, what do we ask for? Do we ask for local chicken or we ask for imported chicken from Portsmouth, England? And if we demand the local, what's going to happen? And so there's so many things that we can do. We have people who are involved in the ripening of bananas. We should have these bananas as our children's snack in the morning at school. And we should be able to produce these strawberries here and have them as our snacks ourselves. And so there's so many opportunities. Our first step, we need to corner the local market. Everything that we eat in this country should be produced by us in Dominica, where food is concerned, and we have the capacity and the ability to do it. But all of us, and I'm saying us, we need to have a paradigm shift in our own consumption practices. And in myself as the Prime Minister and in this government, you have an absolute willing partner. And we will continue to work with you to ensure that we can achieve our objectives of creating greater wealth for our farmers and agro-processors. and ensuring that we can dramatically reduce our food import bill in this country. We have to do more to be able to feed ourselves and to keep the millions that we are sending out of our country by way of foreign exchange and living it in the villages and towns in our country so that people can build wealth and create more jobs for our country. And so the target that we are setting for ourselves as a nation is to have agriculture contributing no less than $700 million to the economy by 2030. There may be some who may feel that this is overambitious, but I am confident that with a concerted effort, we can achieve this even before 2030. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been called to converse. We've been called to make our contributions. We've been called to identify what some of the gaps are, the opportunities are, and what recommended actions we can take to address the gap between demand and supply. The question that the PM indicated, the Prime Minister indicated that we have to answer today before we leave here is how can we address the productive issues? How can we address the supply issues with a view, of course, to reduce the import bills and the prices of the cost of food, sorry. The floor is now open for discussion. Today is about you, to hear from you what your opinions are on the questions that have been asked and to put forward your recommendations for consideration of the entire room. Thank you. Just so we are doing this in an orderly fashion, we come to the mic to make our contributions. Yeah. So we can take about 4 or 5 at any one point in time. So if somebody else has a contribution that they want to make, you could just line up immediately after Hillary. Hillary, you can go ahead.
I can take on my mask, right? Let me say good afternoon to each and every one of you here, the officials, the farmers. It was not my intention to speak so early, but I could not refuse the, if you want to call it a challenge from the Prime Minister, or the opportunity to make a statement or to give my contribution. I believe it is timely that we take that kind of decision to empower our farmers, to look at agriculture as the lifesaver of our country. I believe agriculture has a role to play. And I've been one of those who have suffered the blow of having my crops sidelined by the supermarkets sometimes. And every one of them can tell you, as they will say it every day, when I bring produce to them, I know it's not about me, but I'm just trying to set the base. When I bring produce to them, they get top quality produce. They never reject anything. Some saying that I'm happy the supermarkets are here today. They may be giving you reasons for importing stuff as if to say they can get it cheaper out there. And this is absolutely false. Because the same produce they bring in, they would be selling it the same price. But imagine you asking for a container of apples, grapes, and whatever. And when you cannot fill the container, if you don't need all those apples, then you say, let me just fill it with some tomatoes and cabbage. I believe that is where the government can come in and protect the farmers by one, affording the farmers of Dominica the same kind of protection we get with the Irish potatoes, where you slam a tax of, I think, 150% on the Irish potatoes. The supermarket should not get a carte blanche to just fool the containers with stuff we have right there in Dominica, swimming on the market. So I believe we have to sort of step in as early as possible to protect agriculture and the farmers of this country. They are the vulnerable ones. I want to again urge the government, that initiative will give us a pool of suppliers. Because if the government is going to bring in help to the farmers, we can well expect a lot of people will come back into farming, and farmers are going to expand. Because if you think there's light ahead of the tunnel, you're going to do a lot more. So I'm saying I would like to urge the government, while you're giving scholarships to go and study all sorts of things overseas, let's ensure that we can get some young people to go and study marketing. Give them scholarships to go out there and search for markets, so that when we decide to flood our market or to produce as much as we can, they would already have done their studies and they can go out there and tap into the foreign markets for us. They would have that professionalism in them. I want to again, my friends from Dexia, I want to really ask them to pull their socks up. And the failed extension officers, we really need to, Ministry of Agriculture need to step in and ask the lazy extension officers we have out there to get work to do. They should be able to give the Ministry of Trade and Dexia a projection as to what is expected to come out there. And we should know what we expect to get within the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever it takes, the crop. And we can prepare or know early advance what we have to be doing. So I believe Dexia, the extension officers, they have failed the Ministry of Agriculture. You know, you hear them talking about this and that, and politicians doing this and politicians doing that. They are worse. They are cashing money from the state and doing nothing. I can say it with no reservation. You'll find 1 or 2 of them good. You'll find the Leslie and the others, 1 or 2. But I can tell you generally, extension officers, you don't see them. You don't hear them. They give you no advice. If you ask them how many farmers have crops coming in, tomatoes or whatever coming within the next 3 months, they cannot tell you. So these sort of things, if we do put them in place early, agriculture will go nowhere, because you can put in as much millions as you want into agriculture, and we don't have people to manage it on the ground, the people who are supposed to do that. I don't believe we'll get anywhere. So the next one, but basically I would like to urge the government to go out there, don't just throw things into people who say they are farmers. Have them assessed. And don't have the resources just thrown because you want to set up a boy or a friend, a partner, a member of my political party or whatever. And we see it from successive governments. It's not a matter of because your government in power today, you take offense because a farmer say that. It has happened in the past. I remember in the time of the past administration, I was one of the farmers who lost the most crops in Salisbury. And when fellas are like, no garden get stuff, I got nothing. Some say it has happened in successive governments. That when you have the resources, instead of reaching the farmers, it go to friends and supporters. That we need to really deal with. Last, and I mean, I know other people waiting to talk. If I don't know if I'll get a second chance again, but however, we see the trend that the fertilizer taking at this time. Farmers with crops that are almost ready to hit the market within the next 2 months, 3 months, 1 month, they are really going to suffer a blow. Because now we have no fertilizer on island, and the price of fertilizer has doubled. So I called in on the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Trade to do anything desperately to help the farmers. Because at this time, fertilizer has doubled its price, and it's not even available. Dexia bringing it in, and I mean, you imagine Dexia fertilizer in their shed. 2 weeks the fertilizer there. and they cannot sell it to farmers. Like something chaining it up there, and farmers suffering. So these are things we really want you to look into, Mr. Douglas. I think that's your ministry. It cannot be fair for the material to be on island in your shed. You have to push and move to make the thing available to the farmers. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't know what sort of duties on the fertilizers, I don't know what it is, but anything you can do, whether to subsidize it, find a way to help the farmers as soon as possible. Whether we can get it from out of St. Lucia, anyway, just to borrow some from them and we'll pay them back. Because the farmers are really crying for fertilizer now. If I get a chance again, I may well have to say something. That's my conclusion.
Good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. The farmers are given tools.
Let's put on myself. Yes, thanks.
My name is Dawn Francis. I manage the Smart Farm. I am also a member of the Central Universal Farmers Group, and I also provide consultancy services in the agriculture sector. So as I was saying, the farmers are tooled, they are equipped. However, the support system for the farmers also needs to be appropriately tooled and equipped. So I'm speaking about the extension officers. The extension officers, they require vehicles, they require incentives. Some of them, they do require retraining. I was given the opportunity to engage some extension officers in a community scorecard process that has to do with a project under UNDP. And we were able to identify with farmers that they were also part of the solution to any problem. However, the farmers, they do not sometimes understand the role of the extension officer. So a key part of this is that within the Ministry of Agriculture, there should be some sensitization, information where the clear role of the extension officer is defined. Because sometimes you find that the farmers go to the extension officers for everything. So that is one point. A key area as well is education and training. If we want sustainability and we want youth to be involved in agriculture, let us look at the Dominica State College. Yes, there's an associate degree for 2 years. However, is there an opportunity for a farmer or anybody who is interested in agriculture to do any short courses or any short programs in agriculture business, in marketing as well? So we have to look at that part of it. We do know that the schools, they have, I would say, ad hoc school programs. So all these, and I'm talking on the point of sustainability. You want to get youth in agriculture, but what do we have on the ground? Is it properly organized? We have calls at Portsmouth, who I work very closely with, right? And calls, they've been engaged in fish processing, fish handling. We are making strides, but where is the support? Maybe calls require some additional subvention. So it's not a matter of starting over. There are systems already on the ground engaged in these activities. So it is possible that the government could look at supporting these systems. So when I sit here and I hear of a new agency coming up, I'm like, so why is Dexter really here? You understand? Why should the government look at establishing a new agency? And Dexter is here. Why can't Dexter be the hub where farmers bring in their produce, it is sorted there, and you also have micro-processing and everything happening at Dexter? I mean, look at the buildings in Maria. You know, and I'm saying it's like, we need to use what we have, strengthen what we already have, because they exist. So this is really my point here today. And a doctor cannot do his work without the necessary tools. My extension officers cannot do what they have to do with a minimum salary, without adequate vehicle, without being appointed. Thank you.
Yanel. So once you approach the mic, please just keep your mask on so that we do not have to keep resanitizing the mics.
Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon to my PM. I'm from Penville. My name is Sheldon Ray, and I'm the president of the Young Farmers Group from Penville. Let me start off with irrigation, and let me thank the Prime Minister for making the Savannah Water Project happen today. It is now, right now we have farmers planting carrot in Savannah consistently. If you need 20 bags of carrot now, go to Penville, you will get it. What we're trying to work on right now is creating a product in terms of the carrot, because I had a carrot that small the other day, and the sweetness of that carrot, it was out of this world. Now, we have an island that we call the Nature Island, and we have 365 rivers. So we shouldn't have an irrigation problem in Dominica on any given farm. As long as you can produce, you should have irrigation. That's what I believe personally. Now, okay. I listened to Mr. Grant. He said that we distributed 4,000 citrus plants. Now, based on my research, I look at certain facilities that you have one skilled worker at these facilities doing 1,000 plants per day. You understand? So distributing 4,000 plants, not to, it's a bit not enough, as I see it. Now, I haven't been to too many places in the world, but I know for sure Dominica has maybe the most varieties of mangoes in the world, different type of mangoes. Now, as the lady was saying, use what we have, and mangoes is what we have. Now, if you look at some of the grafted mango trees, you can see, maybe since years ago, you can see the difference, where the mango trees were grafted, and you can know that some program was in place back then to put those mango trees in place. Now, I haven't seen any more coming in. What are we doing to bring more mangoes, to graft more mangoes and have that, consistently in the country, right? That's another point. Now, again, based on my research, rice is one of the commodities we import in the country, right? Now, rice is grown in tropical regions around the world. Now, I don't know, but if you have a program in place where you can, let's say, experiment on rice, we have swamps in Dominica, we have places that can be terraced and rice can be grown, we have the water. So, at what point are we going to start experimenting? I mean, we have the Chinese, they can start to experiment, and we can produce at least 10% of the rice in our country, Hardwood, all them things. Look at the price of materials, 2x4s, it's going up. So how much are we planting in the forest to, put a percentage, like 20%, okay, you can buy your 2x4s from that person. That is the kind of drive I'm looking for, Data collection, again, you're supposed to be able to go to your extension officer and say, hey, where can I get 50 bags of ginger? And he's supposed to tell you, okay, go to that farmer. Our data collection is poor, and if we get those things rolling, I feel we can be, just a few things, If we get those things going, we'll be good. We can really call ourselves the Nature Island. Thank you for your time and listening. Yeah.
All right. We'll take one more comment from this one, and then yes. That's right, sure? Okay. All right. Go ahead, Dr. John.
It's difficult for me to talk with this in my face, sorry. This afternoon was a sad day for agriculture because we lost a beloved colleague, Austin Bell. He was buried today. May his soul rest in peace. But at the same time, today is a great day for the farmers because we get a chance to talk face to face with those concerned to make life better for us. I have a few suggestions that I really want to make. First of all, we're looking at the farmer. All of us know that agriculture is market-driven. Farmers today are producing, hoping to sell, and because of that, we're getting lots of gluts on the market, lots of spoilage. I could tell you last year I saw a lot of plantain that's dropping, and a lot of dashing could not sell because Dexia could only buy a certain quantity only for London, for England. So farmers could not sell their dashing. I was a victim of that. So I know exactly what we're talking about. We have to think of a way to get Dexia, which is the marketing arm of Dominica's agriculture, to work together with the Ministry of Agriculture, which is the productive arm, the production arm of agriculture. Presently, there's a big gap and there's no linkage. Up to Monday, I was listening to the news and Dexia was asking farmers to produce X and Y. So what is the role of the Ministry of Agriculture? Dexia would have a contract for dashing. Instead of getting the agriculturists, the extensionists, to go out there to talk, to get the dashing ready, they themselves have their own extension people going out to do it. That means where does agriculture falls? We have to rectify that. We're supposed to have one body, and I'm suggesting that the parking house of Dexia is supposed to liaise with the Ministry of Agriculture. Whenever there is a market available, they can communicate to the Ministry of Agriculture to produce the quantity required. And also the Hawks Association, I think they should organize themselves in such a way that the hucksters could report what they want so that the Ministry of Agriculture could get the farmers to produce it. And then, of course, I support that Dexia and the Hucksters Association supposed to pack the produce properly for quality control. Because if we don't do that, we might just lose our market. Everybody shouldn't just send things out vice-versa. But the linkage is critical. If we don't have this linkage, we will always have this shortfall in agriculture. Because if today a farmer produces X amount of dasheen or plantain, and he cannot sell it, what will happen is he is not going to produce. If we have this organized, then we can stagger production to meet the market requirements, and farmers will not be doing it just to look for a market. Saying this, some people before me spoke, some farmers before me spoke on the extension. I think we have to reorganize the extension because the extension is not doing the work that they're really supposed to do. I think we should target commodities, for example. For example, instead of having an extension person working in a district dealing everything, let us have a dashing product, or say root crop production team. Let us have a tree crop production team, vegetables, herbs, and spices team. And these teams ahead, and this is their job. And they will report how much is available. And the farmers will know where to get it. Of course, we have to communicate. Once this team is functioning and you communicate, the farmer will not go through all that wastage. And another point is, Dexia is asking for specific sizes of dasheen, for example. Then a lot of dasheen is going waste. So we should get the processing people of fruit Dexia or a private company to be able to use that waste dasheen, or the dasheen we call waste, to do, say, chips or something else. We have to convert this dasheen or plantain into added value commodity. And the Prime Minister spoke of the consistency in production. The way we do things, again, the same point. If you cannot sell, you're going to produce a lot. So if there's a sure market, we are sure farmers will get into it. And Minister Grant spoke about having more farmers. We don't really want more farmers. What we really want is more productive farmers. For example, you can have an acre of land and produce X amount on it, maximize production. So in that case, you will more focus, and then you'll be able to know where you can get a steady supply from. It's only through commercial farming that you can sustain the market. A little farmer there, a little farmer there, a little farmer there cannot give you the value, and to maintain all those little pockets will be very difficult. So it is best to have this organized this way, develop some dependable commercial production, and this way agriculture can move forward and we can sustain a market. Because if what the Prime Minister is speaking about has to become a reality, we have to get some more commercial production. We're bound to. That takes me to another point. The World Bank right now, okay, is capping you. It's capping you in the assistance they're giving to farmers, especially the livestock farmer. I'm Dr. Tosa. I'm a pig farmer. I'm also a business person in the sector and have over 40 years working in agriculture, in the Ministry of Agriculture. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. If you cap, if somebody spend, you say you're giving 50% of infrastructure. Somebody spend $50,000, you give them $50,000. Somebody spend $100,000, you want to give them you want to give them $50,000. Somebody spend $500,000, you want to give them $50,000. Doesn't work within this. And where are we going with production? Instead of bringing two farmers to meet the one on top, we're actually taking one on top and bring him down to meet those below. We cannot move agriculture this way. It has to be the other way. In some cases, government has to be prepared to subsidize whatever we do. That's the only way. Now, another point. The minister spoke of applying technology to production. There's a policy that must change. Read civil servants. There are many civil servants who are trying to do farming, and they will not get assistance because they have a salary. After Hurricane Maria, many of them fall in that hole. But these are the people who can actually give the change, apply the technology. That is the people who will apply people to work with them, creating jobs, at the same time maximize productivity. So if we keep them out of the loop, will not give them support, will not give them assistance, how do we expect agriculture to grow? And for us to get the 700 million, Mr. Prime Minister, and for us to be able to compete with the imported goods in the supermarkets, I was talking to a farmer just on Sunday, and one supermarket teller, the only way he can buy her chicken is if he drops the price to the chicken that is imported. But that is not practical because this chicken that's been imported is being subsidized, and it is mass production. And if at all we don't promote and get people to consume what we produce, agriculture will move nowhere. I have other suggestions anytime. I'm available.
Hello? Yes. Can we please make our contributions very succinct so that others have a chance to express themselves? And as well, after this lady, we have not yet heard from the supermarkets. We have representatives from the supermarkets here and hotels as well. You could join the queue, please, but proceed.
Well, good afternoon. I'm here as an exporter / huckster. I say I because I'm speaking, my name is Mandy Benjamin. I'm a huckster shipping from the Portsmouth area. And I say I because I am speaking for me, because there's no support when I speak on behalf of the exporters in my area. Now, I still say we, because we have had challenges, and I sympathize with the farmers, because they have a very hard life to go out there in the mornings, prepare the crop, so that we can get it. But when we get out there, it's a challenge. The challenge is we have other markets competing at cheaper prices. They get to the port earlier. The quality sometimes is better. The presentation is much better than ours. The taste is not necessarily better. But most of the times people buy with their eyes. And when you buy with your eyes, it is different than when you buy with your mind, or when you keep your health in mind. As the minister was saying that, we should eat what we grow and grow what we eat. But when you go out there, for instance, in the supermarkets, and as a mother of 5, 6, the challenges of you not working, living from hand to mouth, how much can you produce that is grown locally when you go, for instance, and you get 3 plantains at $5? How many children can you feed at that? Right? When a pound of turkey, for instance, is $10, how many children can you feed at that? Now, in the export world, it is worse. For instance, St. Kitts, we were shipping Christoph beans to St. Kitts. And all of a sudden, they said that we're getting cheaper from Santo Domingo. Now, when we get a price at $152, because everybody has their separate prices, as I say, I sympathize with the farmers, because everybody looking for $1. When you go out there and they say that I'm getting it for $3 coming from Santo Domingo, we have boxes to buy. The boxes raised, and I tell them every month. The quality of the boxes are poor, but yet still we have to purchase them to be able to present our stuff out there on the market to compete. When times like Maria comes, we lose our entire market. Because I remember the banana market, as I was said in Dexia, we lost our entire banana market after Maria. So how can we compete? The demands. When we have demands for certain crop, for instance, avocados, which is seasonal, and so many other crops, how can we compete on crops that are seasonal here in Dominica when you get, for instance, avocados year-round from Santo Domingo, and they tell you it is cheaper, even if it is water, as some of them say? How can we compete? There's no... Well, how do you market your taste when you cannot supply? Now, the only crop that we have that we can supply every week for entire year is banana and plantains. So we have to, the Agriculture Ministry have to find ways so that we, including all the other root crops that we have, and our tree crops, to be able to produce year-round so that we can compete. Because if you cannot supply at whatever given time, you lose your market. No, but I'll stop here. But I have so many issues where export is concerned, and it's a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. I am from the Hucksters Association. I don't grow anything. I laugh with the farmers. I cry with them. The only thing I don't do with them is curse. And at times they have to curse. The Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Minister of Agriculture, when you spoke this afternoon, I did not hear anything about tissue culture facility, but I heard on the radio there's going to be one in Portsmouth. I think it's long overdue. I felt that should have come in since the time of the Taiwanese, because St. Vincent got one, and so St. Vincent had a volcano. They're already back in the market, and so they have taken over Barbados again because they could operate quickly. And so if we are actually going to get a facility We need to train 2 people so when the facility is opened, we can operate it with the help of whoever it is, but we have our own people. Secondly, people tell me that the best avocado is the Dominica selected. I agree. But if I pick it today, it ripe tomorrow, the other day it's not good. We need to put better varieties. After Hurricane David, the British helped us, and we grew an early variety. We grew Senil 34, we grew Lula, but 50 years gone, and the plants have lost their ability. So already we have no avocados. I remember we used to have all in April, and starting May of the year, we have the early varieties. So we need to look at that. Finally, I am concerned about Predial lacini. And because of that, the farmer has to sell. He has to pick stuff before it's good, because when he turns his back of all, they pick it up. What I want to suggest is that we should have some police who are trained in agriculture, because sometimes you tell the police, the man thief, that he has Senil 34 avocado, but he's showing you a Dominica selected tree, and the police don't know. We have to train police in the plants so that, when it comes to taking action. And I think the cost of justice is too long. My neighbor told me it took him 4 years, although he had pictures and everything, to get justice. And the guy who stole his stuff tell him, Gasson, so long I thief that, 4 years. I think if we need to improve on that. If we can do that, the farmer's plant will stay on the tree a bit longer. He will harvest it when it's good, and all of us will be happy. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Asquith from La Plaine Livestock Farmer. One of the areas that we don't hear very much about is farm insurance. Farmers, livestock farmers in particular, goat farmers, in my area, we have lost huge numbers of goats through wild dogs. And no one talks about, the government are not insurance underwriters, but there are insurance companies operating in the region offering farmers insurance. And we need to tickle them here to offer us the same kind of protection. Another thing is the livestock division is very centralized. Most of the action happens in botanical gardens. They don't really come out in the fields and see what the farmers are doing. They don't know who's farming what. We have no kind of figures, no census telling us what areas of farming, what types of animals. Other islands nearby are doing that sort of thing easily. It could be a school project to send kids around and get the data of who's farming goats, who's farming sheep, who's farming cattle. That doesn't require any money. So little things we can do, to get the sector going. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Charles Henry, farmer. I farm in the Heights of Warner, Glacier. I do 3 crops, being citrus. Now I listen up to Mr. Joseph and the other hucksters. I cried with the farmer, she laughed with the farmer, and then they have the cost of boxing. But we have an ever-increasing price of inputs that the farmer has to bear with or afford. And I didn't hear anybody mention the puts and how the farmer is going to succeed with the ever increasing prices. And we have one constraint, that's marketing. Usually, you try to subsidize with some dashing, yam, ginger, whatever, and you can't get no markets for it. So I was thinking the government should do some investing in marketing, so the farmers can, have access to sell out their crop and do what is necessary to keep the farm on a good footing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Olivia Morris, agro-processor. I'm here this afternoon as an agro-processor and exporter. I agro-process bananas from green to ripe. So most of the bananas you see on the supermarket shelves would belong to me, although there are other processors as well who have come in. I have been into processing for over 30, banana processing for over 30 years, and into export for quite a while, but my daughter is here, and she's the one who is handling the exports. I will speak on both, but first, I want to say that it's very sad because we just lost a market in Antigua where we shipped a container of basically 300 boxes of bananas weekly and maybe about approximately 50 cases of plantains, dashing sweet potatoes, and other stuff. However, in recent times, we haven't been able to supply the market weekly, and now they've gone to St. Lucia. We are hoping that we will be able to retain that market soon. What we realize is that bananas become very inconsistent, well, is inconsistent at this point. However, between December and April, we can never get our quantity of bananas. I need basically 200 to 300 boxes of bananas per week for the local market. And I'm almost never able to get that. But what we've been doing, we've been juggling lately, and I would allow her to ship her container. We have lost the market, both to St. Lucia and Santo Domingo. No, we cannot get the supply that we needed from the farmers. Now, after April, there's going to be quite a lot of bananas. And that's why we were trying to hold on so we can get to April when we will be able to export. Last week, they called and told us, don't ship this week. We are hoping that we'll be able to ship next week. They haven't given us a go-ahead yet.
But the inconsistency in supply from the local farmers is affecting your ability to retain the market in a consistent manner.
Yes, sir. Pricing. It becomes a problem because we have to compete with the supermarkets. The supermarkets gives a very good price. Like the exporter before said, We have to get boxes. We have to make sure the quality is the best because we are exporting. And because the farmers produce so little, they try to get maximum out of what they produce. This is another problem that we have to address. I believe we also have a market here in Dominica for our bananas, in the sense that if every Dominican were to eat a banana a day, as the Prime Minister suggested, we would be able to manage our banana market locally, plus the regional and export markets. One minute. I'm a little nervous. When I speak, I always get a little nervous. So what we are looking forward to is volumes. Volumes of bananas. What I suggest is that we subsidize a few banana farmers. Well, a few would be free. Banana farmers, so that we can be allowed to sustain our markets. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have contributions from the hotel, restaurants, or supermarkets? You're from one of those groups? Welcome.
Good day. I'm Anderson John from Portsmouth, and I'm a fisher. And I just want to make a few contributions on behalf of the fishermen. And as a fisherman, we listen to people say that fisherman makes the most money, and we listen to people say that okay, let me just get to my point. But one thing I want to look at is the price of gas as a fisherman. Because people come to the fishing market and they said the government give you boat for free. The government has reduced the prices of gas. But all those things are not true. We are not getting any rebate on gas. And for instance, me, a fisher, I have a 150 horsepower four-stroke. And it costs me like $600 a day to fish. And am I getting $600 in profit? You see, those are very important. So I just want to bring it to the attention of the government to look at a rebate on gas for the fishermen. And two, what we see is when there's a lot of fish, like the tuna, when the market comes in, we cannot sell it. And the reason why there is no storage. For instance, you have the fisheries complex, and they don't buy our fish. We have to try to export it, because why? Maybe there is no financing that the complex will buy our fish. But what I'm trying to say is, fishes have tail and they swim. And when they come in abundance. That is the time to get them and to store them. But that is the time the fishermen can really make something out of it. Because when the fish go, we have to wait for another season for it to come back. So we cannot catch as much fish as we can, because there is no market. There is nobody to purchase the fish from us. But if there is a system in place that the fisheries cooperative can buy the fish and store it when there is none, that would be okay for us. Another thing again, in order for us to produce more, we need bigger boats. I mean, if you look in the fishing sector, how many fishermen can go out for 1 week? Stay out for 1 week with a boat. No, we go from day to day. And that is what that costs us a lot of money. Because every day I have to go out. And if I don't meet fish between the process of 8 hours, I have to come back shore empty. But if I can stay another day, or maybe stay another 2 days, 3 days, 1 week. So what we need is bigger boats. The government have to look into financing some bigger boats, either 1 or 2, that the fishermen can increase their production. Because we see the government give a lot of engine, give a lot of boats, but does it improve the production? No. Because you come on the market, it's the same fishermen that they every day. Because it's very costly to fish. So, as a Prime Minister, I just asking of you that to take those things into consideration. The fishermen, especially, we need bigger boats. We need to be a little more safe. We need to sleep. And if you can just help us in that way, that would be a great thing. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing Shaw Lifesaver into agro-processing, and my name is Nafkote Shaw. So really, I'm hearing all of the farmers talking, and I'm not hearing anything on the technology. You know, what they're doing to have technology on their farms, what is going on, because innovation and technology works hand in hand right now. You know, in this new era, in this new age, we really need the technology. And I really need to hear all you speaking about more of that. And on the farmers again, with agro-processors, we are here in the country and we are suffering. We are not getting all you help. You know, we need to help or we need to work with the agro-processors. You know, develop a pricing scheme to work with the agro-processors, because the stuff that you give to hucksters, agro-processors are not able to pay that same price. So we really need to work together and come together in that aspect, right? And as well, let's see, yeah. Well, that's really about what I have to say. That's really what I have to say on technology. Just technology. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Moses Penang from Mero. I'm a farmer in the Cuba Kaum area. Now I hear to talk about low production or low production in plantain. Well, the reason why there is low production in plantain, farmers planting, they plantain, but they can't get it out from the farm because the road is so bad. And what government, because I live in the Kaum area, and Maria came, and 5 years from now, the road cut off and all farmers left Kaum and they down on the roadside. They have got a road to go to the place. Now if I'm in the Cuba area, I have a four-wheel drive, but you can't go there with two-wheel drive. You must have four-wheel drive. The farmer's not asking for pitch road or asphalt. What they're asking for is tariff, because Dominica have enough tariff that the government can make available to farmers. Because I couldn't get sale from my plantain, I had to leave it and go and work construction. I don't want to do construction. I don't want to go there and work for 8 hours for 1 day for $200 or $150. I would rather go on my farm, plant what I have to plant and make my money. So government need to come and step in and maybe put some money aside to help farmers in supplying them with tariff. If they have steel hills, they can concrete the hill to make it easier for the farmer, and then you can get your produce out on the market. So that's the best way that farmers can increase production. But you mentioned about 250 million in agriculture. But you're not going to get 700,000 million unless you put on the farm access road. Because you must have a road to get the produce out. And a lot of farmers keep themselves out from the farm because of the roads. Look, I have my neighbor there, the cameraman. We are neighbors. And if you see the condition of our roads, it's terrible. You have to be fighting against it. It's the channel we go in because they are falling dry. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone. Hotel, Atlantic View, Jerry Williams, but my contribution is not necessarily pertaining to the hotel sector, but more on a marketing basis. And also getting the younger persons involved into farming. I think an approach to introduce farming or agriculture into the schools, especially the secondary schools, so that they produce, and on a yearly basis, you can have competitions. What you're doing, let's take for instance, someone enters into first form. The Prime Minister mentioned the target of 2030, that is 8 years from now. You enter into first form, up to fifth form, that's 5 years of doing agriculture, gets you into that agriculture culture. So now you're producing, let's say in each school, 5, 10 persons who are interested in agriculture. Let's say, for instance, you give an example of, you can see a lot of musicians come out of the school system. We can have farmers coming out of the school system. And even within that, you can use the IT aspect of it to help, in managing the whole school system in regards to farming. Now, adding to the IT sector, I'm not sure if agriculture has a database. I listen to a lot of farmers, agro-processors, and hucksters. If there's a database in regards to how many or how much pounds are exported, the local supermarket, how much they buy, so then you know exactly how much is being consumed on a monthly basis, quarterly, so you know exactly where you need to improve on. The Prime Minister mentioned about creating a marketing arm, which is a great idea. Have that arm not only send out correspondence, but go to road trips to the US, visit different states, meet with different distributors. I think one of the biggest issues is that we try to distribute from here, and usually there's a gatekeeper in regards to getting your products into the supermarket. Let us engage these people. Bring down the distributors, have conferences, let them sample our produce. And at the end of the day, once they are, how should I say, they enjoy it, they definitely would want to sell our product. So again, this is just from a marketing point of view. And rebranding of agriculture, create a culture in regards to doing different food festivals, pineapple festival, mango festival, create farmers' fete, marry entertainment with the farming. So you create an entire new culture, new rebranding of the whole farming, the food, and we market the product. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to address, my name is Singwala Blomquist Williams, and I am a chicken farmer. I'm also livestock. We have a problem with the chicken industry. We eat a lot of chicken in Dominica. Our production is good, but now we have the increase in the price of feed. And I want to know how the government is going to assist us to be able to stay in the market. Because many times, the persons I deliver to will tell me, we cannot pay you the amount that you want because we can get it much cheaper in America. We have to look at food security and what we're giving our people to eat. Our produce, our chickens would have a better quality in Dominica, which means long-term we have to spend less on the health bill. That is what we have to focus on, keeping our people healthy. When we get that third class and fourth class chicken from America, it isn't the best thing with all these hormones that we are injecting in the chicken. So I'm imploring you, the government, you represent us, how you're going to assist the farmer to be able to be the producer, to be able to feed our people. We have eggs. I produce eggs. It costs me 2 bags a day to feed my chicken. It costs me $100 because the feed has gone up. I get 4 trays of eggs. This is $80. We're talking about transportation. We're talking about labor. How is that sustainable? It cannot be, so many of us will have to pull back from the market at that time. Another issue I have is that of livestock. I have a lot of cattle. I lost 60 heads of cattle following Maria. I am trying now to rebuild my farm. I go to where they sell the medicine at the gardens. And I'm told there's no Betical. You have to go and use something. I can't remember the name of it. This is a cancer that you get cancer from it. I cannot give my workers to spray the cattle. The cattle get sick. I cannot sell the produce. So these are the things. We have to have a market where you have the thing on, not wait until it is finished and you come for the Betical and there's none. That is not sustainable. Because if something happens, we have a war going on, we have no food security, what are people going to eat? So these are the things we need to address and try, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm imploring you to encourage organic farming. Those of us who go into organic farming, if there's some way you can help us to supplement or help us in a way that will keep down the cost so our produce can be marketable and it can compete on the other produce they're bringing in from overseas. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I am how I have to call it, all-rounder. I'm a welder, I'm a sprayman, I'm a fisherman, I'm a driver, I'm everything. Now in Calibishi, I was born in Calibishi, and from fishing, I started a safety pin. And I end up with fish gun and boats and whatever. But after, with common sense, which I didn't learn much at school, I developed to be what I am. The best fishing boat in Dominica, 8 miles a line, I brought it here. A trawler, Bristol, Lawrence. The best fishing boat around the small islands, I brought that here. Now I gave it to a fellow in Portsmouth to develop with me. Time I'm Calibishi welding, the man take that boat, coming around Roseau, selling all the fish for Karam and hotels. I end up zero. $195,000 US is not a joke. I lose everything. I plant coconuts, I plant banana, I do hog stirring. I do only name it. I was the second garage on the north of Dominica welding. Imagine. Everybody that go to high school from the north, I personally weld all their people. One day, a fellow called Roxton said, "My son, come. That little man going down there, anytime you meet him, give him a ride. Because if it wasn't he, we weren't able to send our children to high school." Now my coconut field in Hurricane David had 500 coconut trees. Behind, I drank jelly once or twice, and I lose all my coconuts. At 900 banana, I was carrying that banana. One day I took a slide, boom, and my neck got messed up. I had to leave that banana and travel. I only making a history out of me, yeah? And I went to St. Croix, and they were asking for welders. And I said to myself, I'm going to take a chance. When I go to this St. Croix, I go to Hess Company. They asked me, what are you doing here? I said, I heard you are advertising of welders. Just now. I went, I know, I'm not saying that all you with the young people, all you have to think what's going on. I went and I take a test. I come back number 1, 25 fellows saying they're welders. I was 11 years, I couldn't read and write, believe me to God. I understand something. I'm from Calavishi, they took me to Calavishi like a yard boy, bring me up to Goodwill here. I stayed with a teacher, they never teach me to write my name. Imagine. A fellow from Cassibros was doing some studying, asked him, what are you doing? I saw him with a lot of books, he said, study. I said, what is studying? I know. I said, what is studying? He said, boy, you can't read and write? I said, no. He took me in little syllables letters, and if I tell you how I
Excuse me.
Right now, I'm good. I'm good. And
All right.
But let me say one last thing.
So,
listen, in Dominica here now, we want a section where we must prevent the people from catching fishes. Because you need an area which we would call federal law, that nobody mustn't go around that area to catch the small fishes. Because when the small fishes you kill small fishes, there'll be no more fishes again.
all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for that very passionate and historical presentation. And by the way, I'm Sam Raphael. I'm representing Jungle Bay. They asked for hoteliers. So I think it's important because we are an important sector as consumers. I don't know if you people think about it, but you export your product for consumption outside. Well, tourism is an export commodity. It's just consumed in Dominica. So essentially, we're bringing the market to Dominica to consume Dominican produce. Because why else would people travel to the Nature Island other than to enjoy Nature Island produced farm products? Well, I just want to touch, it's not necessarily geared towards the government per se, but to all of us. First of all, I want to commend the organizers for putting together this very lively session where you bring people together and exchange. I know I also operate in some of the other islands, and we may think that we're unique with some of these issues, with food security and the huge import bill and so on. We're not worse than, actually we're better off than most places. Not that we don't have room for growth, we have a lot of room for growth, but we need to put this in perspective because it is a challenge. And how do we mitigate against that? And one of the things I think we need to work on, the Prime Minister had the goal of $700 million GDP, agriculture contribution to GDP. I think we need to really focus on really consolidating the products that's consumed here. And we have a large number of hotels that are being constructed that are scheduled to be open before this time. What are we doing to support the hotel? What are we doing to help the hotels to help us as farmers, help you as farmers? I brought my chef along with me. He's an international chef. And his thing is, he's smiling now. He's like, what an education I'm having in Dominica. I'm so glad I came. That was his right. Because it's so challenging for him. Every place else, you have a hotel and you're a chef. What do? You call the distributor. And they bring all the stuff you need, whether you're in St. Lucia, Barbados, that's how it works. Here, we're committed to buying local stuff. And I tell you, we're not going to buy anything from outside and we can buy from a local farm. It costs us more, but we think it's part of our product, and we have an emotional commitment to that. But you can't rely on every hotelier to have that kind of commitment. So somehow we need to find ways to network to create a more comfortable environment for the hotels to be able to buy locally. And we need high quality things, especially related to vegetables, a variety of vegetables, maybe things that aren't consumed by Dominicans all the time. How many different varieties of lettuce do we have available in the marketplace? Or
any type of vegetable. We need a whole range, and our people are coming to explore, to have a culinary experience with lots of colorful vegetables. Talk about the fruits. We have some things, but we can grow a lot more, and it will be consumed by persons in that industry. And for us, it's about variety. And also things like melons, the PM talked about. I mean, not just cantaloupes, we need that. We need honeydew, that can be produced here. There's also the canary melon, and you can go down. I mean, the more variety you have, the more you help us in tourism, the more we can help you. So I don't know, this isn't really addressed to the government per se. Sometimes we expect all of our solutions to come from the government, but there is an economic opportunity here. And somehow we have to seize it. I see my good friend with the bananas. We grow a lot of bananas at Jungle Bay, but we buy bananas from her, ripened bananas, to support the local market. We're not growing things to compete with the farmers, but somehow we need more, and I know it's a difficult thing, and it's new, and it's good that it's early in the game, but this is something that I think we can work towards, because I do believe when you look at our food bill, you know, going into the year 2030, there may be at least 150 million of that will come from the tourism sector. At least that will come, that there'll be at least that much demand from the hotel sector for locally produced things, and this is not a negligible amount. We need to concentrate on supporting that. And by the way, if you produce good lettuce for the local, for your local people, you got extra to export to the regional market, to the international market. So I think, you know, there's an opportunity for good synergy there, and I encourage this kind of discussion, but specific recommendations and specific action, and there's opportunities for emerging entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, to really get in the game. Because if you don't take advantage of this, I tell you 5 years from now, somebody's gonna step in and it'll be much easier to import everything, and we'll be having this lamentation because we didn't take advantage of the opportunity, yeah? So thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Raphael. We will now bring the comment section to a close. We have captured some of the points that you have raised with respect to specific areas for actions, and I will summarize them as such. Restrictions on produce that are available and grown locally. Investments in scholarships that are investments in scholarships specific to marketing to assist with market access. Improving the data collection and management systems to ensure that there is clear projections with timelines to improve planning and sales. Improve management of extension services so that the investments that we make can actually be felt on the ground. Assessing farms, specific farms, before investments are made or public support is provided so that there is true growth. Subsidizing inputs, particularly fertilizers, packaging material, to address the issues of price. Organization of the farming community and strengthening of some of the support structures, including Dexia. Improve propagation capacity, and I must tell you that it's coming on stream with the new tissue culture facility. Works have already begun in terms of clearing of the land. The construction team is already here. I wanted to give that update so that we leave here knowing that that capacity for experimentation will soon be on island. Improved structure for agro-processing and packaging of produce to ensure that we reduce waste and we improve effectiveness of the food system. Specialized extensionists based on priority crops. Commercialization of production and consolidation for improved market access. There's the issue of Predial Lassini and the involvement, a closer tie to the justice system and the police system. The storage facilities for fish harvest. a guaranteed purchaser of fish, of harvested fish, addressing the issue of price of gas to improve fishing operations, investments in bigger vessels and well-equipped vessels for longer day excursions, improved technology, a clearly defined pricing scheme that's done collaboratively with farmers, training of farmers and extensionists to ensure that they are well positioned to provide the support that is needed, access roads. We've recently made news in terms of some of the investments that government is going to be making. Minister also alluded to that. Engagement of external distributors, rebranding through food festivals, and specifically promoting organic farming from a health and marketing perspective. And finally, calling on the hoteliers to engage in the purchasing of local produce, high quality produce, and a variety of vegetables and fruits.
Well, also farm insurance. Farm insurance and, of course, the call to subsidize inputs and the issue of the unavailability and consistency of produce,
yes,
and which is causing an impact on our ability to maintain external markets. Also increased variety of vegetables and fruits for the hotel sector, hotel and restaurant sector. And the better packaging for export. We have to look at the issue of pricing of the agricultural produce that have been sold to the supermarkets and to the hucksters. The issue of DEXA needing to work more closely with agriculture. They say there's a gap exists. And of course, there's a call to look at the reorganization of the extension services. We're saying that there's need for more productive farmers and also more commercial farmers in order to get us to the level of production that we need to supply the demands that are out there. Irrigation is critical on the farm, farm technology, innovation, critical to take us to the level that we would like to get. We need to look at also the varieties of things like avocados and how do we address the seasonality of some of those crops. What kind of technology we can bring. We know we had a challenge with yams, and we've been able to address this in yams, and coming out address it with other crops. And of course, education and training for farmers and those involved in the process. I think, and storage for the fishermen. You know, but you see, sometimes I don't want to respond. We came here to listen. But sometimes we ourselves have to look at our own practices as businessmen. Sometimes we want to get $15 for the pound of fish, where we could sell it to the supermarket or to a retailer at $10 and sell all the fish. And we see ourselves selling the fish on the side of the roads. And so there are some practices that we have to look at in terms of how we go about executing our trade. And also, there is a clear view that we should look at certain produce or products and treat them the same way that we treat Irish potatoes, in terms of banning or increasing the tariff on imported Irish potatoes in order to give local farmers an opportunity to corner the local markets and so forth. So I think in addition to what the PS said, I took my own notes myself, you know, because I came here to listen to you and to take copious notes, because the critical thing is that I want to say to you that we didn't come here to just talk. We come here to listen and for us And that's why I want to underscore the word us. If we start pointing fingers at somebody to do something for us, then we're going to have a problem. We must work together in order for us to make more money in this country, in order for us to have more wealth circulated in the communities of Dominica, and for us to get to that level of $700 million by 2030. It is a very ambitious target, but I believe we can make it happen. But there's also the issue of our individual and collective practices in terms of consumption. I heard Mrs. Williams speak about chicken and the supermarket saying that it is too expensive. But the question is, how many of us in Dominica, when you go to the supermarkets, say, look, this thing from Brazil and from America and from Portsmouth that has all sorts of chemicals in it, I don't want it. I want the local chicken, give it to me. How many of us say that? So unless we say that, the supermarkets, and this is a free market economy, they're gonna keep buying. So unless we ourselves, and this is a rhetorical question to the whole nation, how many of us buy local stuff? How many of us buy the apple, they buy the soursop instead of the apple? I hear people complain about the price of strawberries, because a lot of people use strawberries for their shakes and so on, and instead of using local produce shakes. I see the Chinese are here from the Agriculture Technical Mission. There is no sweeter cantaloupe anywhere in the world than that which we produce in Dominica. And I have grown cantaloupes in vacas, on trellis and also on the ground. The issue of limes, and so we do not have sufficient limes in this country to supply the making of punch and also supplying the hotels, and lemons. So there are things that we have to do, and I believe that we have to be coordinated. When we set up the Agricultural Investment Unit, the vision behind this back then when it was established was to focus on commercial farmers, as Hillary mentioned, for example. So that so we focus and say, give me the 100 farmers to produce bananas and plantains for us. Give me the 100 farmers to produce dashing for us. The 100 farmers to produce yams. The 100 farmers to produce sweet potatoes of various varieties. The 100 livestock farmers. And then the idea was to provide that unit with the best technical minds we have in the country, and if we had to import some, we would import them. And then we put monies at the aid bank, and the whole idea behind these monies was to set a performance target. You borrow $50,000 from the bank under the 0% interest loan. If you planted bananas and you want to produce 12 tons a year, if you produce those 12 tons, we'll reduce the principal amount by 10%. And so in the process of subsidizing agriculture, there must be performance targets. There must be performance targets because we have to treat the subsidy as if it's a loan that has to be repaid. And how do we go about making better use of it and so on? So I want us to get back to the point where we can have performance-driven agriculture, performance-driven support in agriculture. Because once you have something that's going to be free, everybody wants to stand in line. And what do you do with it when you stand in line and you get? And so there has to be a subtle, not a dramatic or revolutionary paradigm shift. There has to be a subtle shift. A subtle shift from all of us, the government system, we the producers, we the consumers. There must be a paradigm shift in this. But it can happen because in this country, we have a vast number of Dominicans who are involved in producing food and meat supplies for us in Dominica. And I think there has to be a coordinated approach. This is why we spoke about this authority. Yes, we've had Dexia, whose responsibility in the law also involves marketing of our produce. But this is not a criticism of Dexia, because any criticism of the government is directed at me, not at anybody else. So I take responsibility for it. But the fact is, with Dexia selling rice and sugar, it is natural that they will be preoccupied with selling rice and sugar. And so let us see how we can complement Dexia and complement the other entities. And my view is, if we have an entity that is dedicated absolutely to promoting tourism, then we should have an entity absolutely promoting our agricultural produce and agro-processing in Dominica. And the view is, let us send these people out to the markets, go and fetch the markets. And the Ministry of Trade should not be preoccupied with the European Partnership Agreement and WTO. Those things are fine. But how do we reposition the Ministry of Trade to act as a data collection, a market research collection, so we can tell the Huxley Association, these are the markets in Antigua and Guadeloupe. That's what they want at these prices. And then it's filtered down to the farmers. And so these are some of the things that we're going to be doing to help us change the mindset and to be more focused on it. When we have too many different agencies doing different things, and sometimes it's difficult to meet, we're going to have a problem. And so therefore we have to centralize the operations and so that we have one entity under one roof to look at the issues relating to agriculture, production, market research, promoting our produce. And so the same way we're having tourism trade shows and we're sending DDA to Strasbourg and to London and to Miami, then we will go and do the same thing for agriculture and agro-processors. But at the end of the day, our first objective as a country is for us individually to make a determination to buy local. At my house, we don't buy any chicken except local chicken. And we ensure, well, I grow a lot of my stuff, you know, including my own honey. So I am largely self-sufficient and so on. I have my own eggs. I don't sell eggs anymore, but I have my own eggs. And I used to sell eggs before. And so the issue of building relationship with the markets, we cannot come today with one price and tomorrow with another price to our purchasers if we're going to build a solid relationship. So when I sold eggs, the price per dozen stood at $7.25. Even in Christmas time when there is a huge demand for it, I kept it at $7.25. But I sold everything. And supermarkets were calling me because they hear Skerrit has eggs. So we have to go through an education process, all of us. But importantly, my friends, we have to corner the market, and one of the ways we're going to corner the market is by us making a decision to buy local. Yes, the local stuff might be 50 cents more per pound, but that is 50 cents more we keep it in Dominica. And so we export jobs to Brazil, which is the 5th largest economy in the world, and then we complain we can't sell stuff. Well, how are you going to sell stuff when you're buying what you import? And then you know what? People blame one person in this world, or in this country, myself. So unless we recognize that we have a role to play in assuring ourselves of food security, assuring the farmers of a better way of life, and increase profits. Yeah. Dashing doesn't mean that you cut it in 4 and cook. There are many things we can do with dashing. And why should we have children at school eating gel kosher for lunch? Why not local pork? Well, some of you call it pigs now, we call it gel kosher. Why are we having them eat pig snout for lunch at school? And I see the juice man there. I used to buy his juice outside of the old market. Top class juice, and we have Carty and others who are making top class juices. We need to declare affirmative action on some of these people. Why should our hospitals and prisons have to buy all sorts of things from the supermarkets that are imported? The government needs to declare affirmative action on farmers and things produced locally, and the government system should not buy anything from anybody outside of Dominica that we have here in Dominica. But I need your help, because, you know, I don't want people to truly accuse me of being a dictator. You know, they say I am, and they say I'm running a one-party state, you know. But I need your help. And the help that I need from you is for us to work together in this working group so that we can sift through all of the issues and more which we will raise in further consultations and to drop a very simple plan of action. I don't like no big document. Simple document that tells us this is what we need to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is when we'll do it, and this is the cost of doing it. And let's get it done. And you have, as farmers, as producers, as agro-processors, you don't have to convince me about these things. And this is why I believe that we must continue to have agriculture as our number one priority in this country. And it will always be this case, because we believe that food security cannot be compared to any other thing. We must first be able to feed ourselves consistently in all spheres. And so I am very grateful for making the time to be here tonight. This is not going to be the end of the consultation. We'll reach out to some of you to work as part of the working group. So you'll hear from us in the next few days. And that working group will join forces to go out there and to engage the various publics on what we're going to be doing and ensure that that which we agree to do, we do it. And so our goal and our target is $700 million by 2030. And in a rhetorical question, let me see how many of you are prepared to be enlisted in the army to get to that 700 by 2030. And from your expression on your face, you're saying, it's scary, we all with you on that. Let's hit the road running. Let's go and till the soil. And let us go and consume that which we grow in Dominica and maintain our external markets. Maintain our external markets. And that has to be driven by a concerted marketing arm and marketing efforts solely for agro-processors and our local craft and our farmers, similar to how we do for tourism in Dominica. May God bless our efforts. May God bless all of you in the value chain. And may God bless our country as we work together. As we work together. We can't do it alone. We have to work together if we really want to get our country to where we all want it to be, which is a place of prosperity, where we can have decent jobs, people can create wealth for themselves, and Dominica will be the only place we want to live and work until the Lord Jesus Christ comes to judge the living and the dead. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister and Mrs. Skerrit. Thank you very much, Minister Grant, Senior Minister Austri, Minister Riviere, other cabinet members, permanent secretaries, invited guests, the media. Thank you for carrying this event live. I must admit the energy in the room was superb. And I think it leaves all of us rejuvenated to ensure that agriculture meets the tall order that the PM has tasked us with, 700 million. Thank you and pleasant good night to all.